Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. In this video, we're going to be discussing something that I've discussed in other videos sort of on a tertiary basis, and that is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, also known as USCBP. We've talked about USCBP in the context of various immigration concerns, also with respect to various new policies with respect to things like cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, and I figured it was probably warranted to go ahead and just do a video where I explain what USCBP actually is. USCBP is U.S. Customs and Border Protection. These are the folks you will see at the airport upon arrival in the United States who are going to go ahead and stamp you into the United States. They actually lawfully admit aliens and Americans into the United States of America. It should be noted that we're not talking about TSA. We are talking about USCBP. It's an entirely different agency. Now, something to keep in mind with respect to USCBP is they are under the same umbrella under Department of Homeland Security as, say, USCIS or USICE is. And USCBP has a markedly different function than either of those two groups. And it should be noted that USCBP is primarily, again, tasked with admitting foreign nationals into the country. Those foreign nationals can be placed into what's called expedited removal proceedings by USCBP. They can be deported by USCBP. They can be asked if they want to voluntarily depart the United States by CBP, or they can be admitted by USCBP. It should be noted that simple issuance of a visa does not guarantee entrance to the United States. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection, in many ways, is sort of the last line of defense, for lack of a better term, with respect to admitting foreign nationals. That's sort of the last bite at the apple to keep somebody who may be a problem out. And for that reason, USCBP takes their job, A, very seriously, and are not an agency to really take lightly, I should say. When I've personally been detained isn't the right word, but been asked to step into secondary inspection when coming back from here in Thailand to the United States. I think Customs and Border Protection just sort of viewed me as a somewhat anomalous individual traveling, and they went ahead and wanted to ask me some further questions. It should be noted that under various Supreme Court decisions, the airports, especially when one's arriving from abroad, are viewed in a very much of a different legal light as far as jurisprudence as compared to, say, the actual United States proper. In essence, the Supreme Court has sort of carved out this gray area where the Constitution does not yet fully apply as it would once one's been passed through and admitted into the United States. Just exactly where the lines are with respect to this sort of gray zone is a little bit amorphous. It's a little bit difficult to say, but that being said, it's fairly clear that once admitted, a lot of the rights of the Constitution and the privileges associated therewith are going to go ahead and attach. But again, that's something of a gray area, frankly. USCBP, again, because they have this admission function, they also have kind of an adjudicatory function also, because as I said, they are something of sort of the last line of defense with respect to those wanting to get into the United States. In most cases, immigrant visa holders, fiancé visa holders, work visa holders, these kinds of folks are not going to really have a lot of, or see a lot of trouble with respect to USCBP. The one that I really see where folks are really sort of in a large volume have problems with CBP are those who are holding like tourist visas to the United States, or have passports which allow visa exemption, essentially visa waiver, into the United States, who've spent significant periods of time in the U.S. Basically, CBP starts to look at their physical presence, because that can all be seen on CBP's system when admitting someone in the United States. They basically look at these individuals and say, wow, you're on a tourist visa, but you spent the last 9 out of 11 months in the U.S., and then you went ahead and you've left, and now you're coming back and you're saying you're only going to be here a week. We don't know if we believe that. In some cases, sometimes those folks are admitted. Other times, they're heavily scrutinized and then admitted. Other times, they're heavily scrutinized and told, look, we don't believe you anymore. And citing certain sections of the Immigration Nationality Act, they're asked if they would like to go ahead and voluntarily depart. In some cases, those individuals can be placed in expedited removal proceedings. and those proceedings can result in a ban of re-entry to the United States for 5 and possibly 10 years, depending on the circumstances of the case at hand. So to conclude, USCBP, although they're kind of the tail end of the overall process with respect to bringing especially a loved one in the United States, they are not an insignificant part of the process, and in fact they are a rather important part of the process.